Hi, everybody. It's State Representative Jamie Foster. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about something I'm hearing from so many parents and young families across the town. And that is that we have a real affordability problem. I am not immune. I'm in my 30s. I have young kids. And when I look back at what it took for my parents or my grandparents to build a stable life, the difference is staggering. When my grandparents bought their first home in the 1960s, the median home price was $20,000. When my parents were buying their first homes, the median household property value was $130,000. Today, the median home price is a staggering $420,000. And at the same time, childcare, something that barely existed the way we knew it today when our grandparents were young, has become one of the biggest expenses that most young families face. In fact, in Connecticut, infant care costs can be $70 a day, where the lowest, most affordable child care costs per day costs are around $30. For many families, that's a second mortgage. So yes, we have a real affordability problem. And to be honest, it's something that people on both sides of the aisle agree on. One of the frameworks that I have found most compelling for talking about solutions to our housing affordability crisis comes from Ezra Klein, who talks about this from an abundance mindset. Actually, that's the title of his book. It means focusing on more homes, more infrastructure, more opportunities, not by overriding local control, but by giving towns tools and resources to grow responsibly and sustainably. That is what Bill 8002 did today. A lot of this philosophy is reflected in that housing bill, but here are a few parts that really matter for our region. The housing growth plans stay locally driven. They're driven by the CROG, which is a really well-respected, engaged municipal organization our towns work with already. The bill requires every plan to match the town's existing plan of conservation and development and other local documents, so towns keep control over how they grow. There is very real, significant infrastructure funding available because of this bill. Towns that put together a plan can qualify for funding to improve infrastructure needs. For us, that could mean finally getting city water into neighborhoods that have long been cut off from the public drinking water supply, who have private drinking wells contaminated with EDBs, TCPs, nitrates, chloroforms, and road salt. Things families in our town are dealing with right now that they deserve a solution to. This also creates a statewide funded wastewater study. I heard from a lot of folks in the last couple of weeks about how people were upset about their sewage water bill increases. And instead of 169 towns planning with their small, already under-resourced and overburdened DPWs, planning around a volunteer board, perhaps reinventing the wheel, what this bill does is it allows the Office of Policy and Management to coordinate and work across systems to lower costs and support expansion. This bill, very importantly, supports school construction. The bill increases school construction reimbursement by another 5%. That is real money in towns like East Windsor and Vernon, who have projects in the pipeline, and for Ellington, who sometime in the future may plan to make a high school project improvement. It also expands water quality loan improvements, and that's a real problem because improving water quality has become a sticky wicket in our communities, things that we have not enough tools and not enough funding and resources for us to really address. Towns that participate in the housing growth planning would get better access to funding for drinking water improvements, which is essential but incredibly limited in the programs currently available to it right now. All of these pieces work together. They don't force towns to build anything. They reward communities that plan and prioritize expanding housing and invest in the infrastructure that makes that building more viable and more affordable. Because at the end of the day, if we want our kids and our kids' kids to be able to afford to live in Connecticut, we have to build, we have to plan, and we have to make sure that our towns have the resources to do it in ways that protect what made each community special. I want to thank you for listening, and as always, if you have questions or concerns about any parts of this, I hope you'll reach out. I'll be working through the entire rest of the day. We finished the debate on this bill, but we have more bills that we're debating as the time goes on. We're probably going to be here long past midnight, and I'm here, and your feedback matters, and I look forward to hearing from you all.